You voted for Donnie T.
I did.
So what made you like, and were you a Trump like supporter in 2016? Like what was
No. Oh my God. So 2016, I was basically raised with the idea that black people have to be Democrat. There's no alternative for black people. So years go by. I had my first gun at age 11. My father bought it for me. My parents are veterans.
Yeah.
I've grown up going to my friends' houses who also had veteran parents, who had police parents. I love the military. I love police. And so this year put into perspective for me that there's no room for me at that Democratic table. As a black woman who's a gun supporter and who loves the military and the police, I go against everything that's being sold to me right now.
Because you have family and whatnot who are in both positions, so you see it from a different perspective.
I do, yeah. My dad's even a legal immigrant, so I'm on the side of just how things should go.
I get it. Okay. Yeah. And I want to talk about police reform because you could love the police and also understand that there's some shit that needs to change.
There's some reform that needs to happen,
like immediately.
Absolutely,
And these departments need to enact these reforms to get their funding back, I think.
I agree
for
with
certain
you.
things.
We need to give them that chance instead of screaming.
But they have to. There's certain reforms that need to be enacted. And when I was running for city council, I don't know if you saw my platform at all. Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the reforms I was talking about is the fact that you need to have jiu-jitsu training needs to be mandatory.
100%.
And you should be at least a blue belt before you become a cop, and you have to train consistently either with a bunch of people at the academy.
I agree with this.
Or at like an actual gym that offers some kind of subsidy to law enforcement.
It should be mandatory to pass. My friend who's a brown belt, Janae Cox, she actually works she works with TXDPS training recruits, and that's a program that they really want to grow and I think is so valuable, so beneficial. Get these recruits grappling. They have those open mats for LEOs.
Yeah.
But
how many people actually go?
A good amount, but they make it blue belt and up. So, it's like as many people, like if you want cops training with white belts, I mean, it's kind of like when they're wrestling an unarmed person anyway. But
they should train with white belts because that's who you're going to have to control.
That's the raw strength,
Yeah, and you also have to actually know how to control somebody like that safely without hurting them. Like you should, the fact that it's only blue belt and above, I didn't know that, but that's not good. They should let anybody.
There could be some
there.
discussion about that because I agree with you.
Yeah, they have to have white belts there because. First of all, those white belts become better training with better people.
They do.
And they get a resource to understand how effective this is, and they can actually start going to another gym.
Yeah, I mean, when you know how this works, you don't have a hatred towards chokeholds and other things like that. Like, I saw that in the media, and I'm like, I saw a 5'2" female cop take down 2 people with her bare hands using jiu-jitsu. She got back control on one guy, and then she took his girlfriend down and stacked them on top of each other. She didn't draw a gun or a taser once. That is what I want to see more funded. Like
exactly. But that has to be a thing, and they have to agree to it. And Brazilian jiu-jitsu training needs to be mandatory if you're a police officer. Like
yes.
And it's not going to solve a lot. It's not going to solve all the problems. There's still a lot of stuff that I don't know to have any clue what it's like to be a police officer and all the stressful stuff they have to deal with. But at the very least, you'll be better at managing that stress, and you'll be better at subduing a suspect without hurting them.
Calmness, confidence.
Yeah. De-escalation.
Mm-hmm.
No better way to de-escalate than, hey, man, if you got like a 200-pound monster brown belt on top of you in side control, and you could be calm under that situation, you could be calm talking down like some suspect who's, a little excited, maybe did too many drugs, or you know what I mean? Like you'll be better at talking certain people down that you otherwise wouldn't.
Resolution.
You'll have much better conflict resolution. You'll be less likely to feel the need to draw your gun. 100%. They also need to have EMT basic certifications.
Yes, I think that there should be a diverse range of what they are trained for when they show up on site, whether they're dealing with a mentally ill subject that's being called on, someone who's violent, just all these things. There's just a cross-pollination that should be interjected, kind of like how other countries do. They focus on de-escalation tactics. I'm not saying they don't do it here, but like you said, reform.
They could do better.
Reform, they could do better. Maybe a little bit longer training. If you see someone who's struggling with those de-escalation naturally, I don't know, work on that. But there's a chance for the police. Like I would never want to give up on that system. And
no, you never should. But at the same time, though, if these guys want to get their funding back, like they have to agree to that. That's what I think. Like if I were a city council, if I were a city official, and I was in charge of the budget, right? Hey man, we should give you your funding back. What we did was pretty irresponsible with how we defunded.
Yes.
Right? From a number of standpoints, right? But at the same time, you can't let these people just walk all over you and operate with impunity too. And there have to be rules for how you give them the money back. another thing too is that you need independent review boards for like misconduct, and it should be people who are like objective. It shouldn't be like super Blue Lives Matter folks, and it shouldn't be your like ultra left-wing community activists. Like they should not be on that board. Neither of those people. It should be like people like you and me to like look at things objectively and say, hey, the cop was justified in their action in this situation.
Oh, absolutely.
And the cop was not in this situation. And you should be able to recommend to the DA if a charge gets filed, like what to charge the person with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, look, a lot of times they make mistakes of overcharging cops, and then they go free, and that's a problem. Right, so if you want true accountability, you got to charge someone with what you think they are actually guilty of and what you think they will be guilty of in a court of law, so that accountability and justice do get served.
I think that could be increased overall. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also the money, if there's a lawsuit for like police brutality and whatnot, that should come out of the pension fund.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
And you should be a lot. And my buddy Casey, who I dropped out to endorse, said that the cops should have personal liability insurance. They should be required to take out personal liability insurance for when stuff like this happens.
See, this is good stuff. That's good. That's great. I'd pay extra for that.
That's good. Yeah. But like they have to agree to do this stuff, and if they want their funding back, there has to still be accountability. And you could love, and people don't understand too that like you can love love law enforcement and like have like an insane amount of respect for police officers and law enforcement while also making them have to be accountable. Like, you know what I mean? Like you love your best friends and you have standards for how they behave.
You do.
Right?
You wouldn't let them just, I'm not saying that they walk all over people. That's not what I'm trying to say. But the accountability aspect, you can love something and want it to do better.
Well, I know, and make them do better and say you have to do better. Like we love you and we like respect you and what you guys are awesome, most of y'all. But you have to be accountable and we have to hold you accountable and do it right. Like there's something there's a thing that people need to understand, and you can't like separate the two. That's my take on it. Like when I was at Eastside Elite, like I loved all my teammates. You know what I mean? Felt like we were brothers, but at the same time, it's like if you weren't training hard and if you weren't offering value and you weren't helping them get better. How much do you really love them if you're not going to help, right? Like, you can't love someone that does you can't love someone that doesn't love you back. And if you're a member of the community, you can't really love your police officers if the police officers don't love protecting the community and helping the community. So it's both ways, and you got to make sure that they're accountable to actually serve and protect the community meaningfully. And if they're not, there should be a board to make it so that those people are weeded out and shouldn't be the ones doing this job.
Just held genuinely accountable.
That's it. But that's